All right, so today we're going to talk about a 2004 Cadillac Escalade with a 6.0 4L65E trans and currently 115,000 miles on the clock. So what's going on, or the story with this is this Escalade belongs to a wholesale account. You know, they own the owner of the repair shop, probably one of our longest. We're probably doing their transmission work. It's got to be since the late 80s, very early 90s, 90, 91. That's how long, we got a great relationship. That's how long we're doing that work. So this is their car. It's actually the owner's son. And we did this transmission back in 2017. And at that point it had 80,000 miles on it. So the problem is there's no codes, and the problem is it has a pretty soft 2-3 shift cold, and it flares and flares real bad on the 2-3 when it's hot. Sometimes it may even run away, but definite problem on the 2-3 shift, which is that 3/4 clutch, that top clutch on the input drum. So, you know, we get it back here and they say do whatever you can for us, and of course we'll, because you know we've known them again since early 90s. Get the transmission out, take it apart. I found the 3/4 clutches burnt, which I'll give you a close-up on, and it's being the fact that it's so freaking busy here. I just tear the transmission down to see what's going on. Not really going to overhaul because it was done, 30-something thousand miles ago. So, a lot of the stuff is in good shape. The sprigs are good, the electronics are good, the bushings are all still good. So I get a banner kit. Everything else, the shell's been updated, the separator plate's been updated. I think I really just needed a banner kit, the load release springs, snap ring, doing EPC solenoid filter converter. I think that's really about it as far as the parts that I'm going to need. So one thing that I like to do, which I did not do before I took the transmission apart, because I'm just, it's just a constant, not that I'm making excuses, but I got to tell you, it's so busy here that, sometimes you can't think straight, you're very overwhelmed. So this is a 4L60 here out of a 99 Tahoe. The transmission actually is on this bench, and I think I have 3 or 4 more to do of the 4L60E family. So that's going to be next week. Is going to be 4L60E week. I have a couple of Fords that I got to do. I got a Honda that's got to come out. I got some guy transported his Volkswagen Phaeton. That's a huge job. Got to get that transmission out. It's just busy. I mean, it's good. We're never slow. It's always busy. I was talking to a friend of mine who's, a pretty successful guy. He's, retired, not working anymore, but he did very well for himself, and we, we're pretty close. And so I was talking to him, and he says, he goes, you have time, you want to meet for dinner? And I said, it's so freaking busy here. I says, I don't know what to do. I said, eventually, yes, we can, but I just got to see, let me see if I can get caught up. But, I said, I don't really have a lot of time at the moment. And he says, that translates into job security, which is true. I own the place, but still, I guess to a certain extent, that's true from what he's saying. But, thank God we are as busy as we are. It's super busy. Hopefully going to get a record-breaking year this year. So, all right, not to get off track. All right, so I'm working on the Escalade transmission, and one thing that I like to do, especially when I find these clutches burnt out, is I like to check the integrity of the input drum, okay? And what I do, and I know I've done this before for you on 4L60E videos, these drums have a tendency to crack. Maybe internally the shafts have a tendency to come loose, maybe externally the drums crack. But bottom line is, when I see these clutches wiped out, which also could be the 3/4 molded piston, I like to check the integrity of the drum to make sure that that piston and that clutch is going to hold pressure. And I want that clutch to hold pressure until I remove my finger from the apply hole, and then the pressure would, you know, come out. But, you know, I want that drum to hold pressure. If I hold it there for 5 minutes, if I hold it there for 10 minutes, I want that drum to hold pressure for that amount of time. And this drum was not doing that. And the reason, and I put this all back together, and I says, oh, you know, I never checked the drum when I first took the before I even disassemble the drum. I like to check it to see what's going on. This way you know if I need a new drum or not. I didn't do that this time. But I remembered right before I was putting it together, I says, you know, I never checked the drum. Let me do it now. And it didn't pass the test. Okay, I blocked the bleed hole, and I block the feed hole, and I blow air into the check ball. So I blow air into the check ball, the pressure seats the check ball, and the pressure should not escape until I remove my fingers from either the bleed hole or the apply hole. And the drum 100% was not holding the pressure. So at first I thought, okay, the check ball is probably leaking. First I put some oil down in the valley here, and that didn't do it. And then I did it around by the check ball, and I saw a little leak starting, and I did it more around the outside of the drum. And I'm going to show you, I found the drum cracked. So pretty much, we would have put this thing back in the car, delivered it to him, may have worked okay. Probably on the way home, the transmission would have burnt out again, third gear. But I make it a point, and if you guys are working on these 4L60Es, a very common problem is these clutches get burnt. Especially when you have this, well, any drum should be checked, but I see more common cracks on these where the splines end. All right, the code on the converters usually is TMBX or VJCX, depending on the engine size. But I definitely recommend, if those clutches are burnt, scored, you check the integrity of the drum. All right, and that's what I did, and thank God I did, because I remembered I didn't do it before. All right, so what I want to do, I have another drum coming. I usually like to go AC Delco. My supplier does not have AC Delco. He does have aftermarket, which I'll show you, and I always question him, and I says, well, you know, are you selling these? He says, I'm selling them. I said, are you getting any complaints, anything coming back? He says, I haven't had any yet. I said, okay, we will give it a shot, because, you know, I was supposed to have this done, and now it's not done. They wanted it, you know, for the weekend, and it's the weekend now. It's actually, tonight is Friday night after hours, and I couldn't give it to them because I had to call them back and told them what was going on. Fully understand, very, very nice people, and they just, you know, do what you can for us, please. So I'll get this back to them, you know, beginning of next week. So I have the drum coming tonight. So what I want to do is get a close-up shot into the drum. I'm going to show you where I block with my fingers, and I blow air into the check ball. But that's how I check the integrity of the drum. But then I want to show you where the crack is, and it's a pretty big crack. Not really sure how it happened. I don't really see it too much, but that's why you got to check the drums when these are burnt out. All right, so let me get a little closer. And we're gonna do that with this drum, and then I'll tune in with you guys tomorrow when I have the other drum. We'll take this apart, and then take it apart, load it back up, put the clutches, everything back in, and then we're gonna air check the integrity of the new drum, and you'll see the difference. All right, just make sure you have the clutches in here when you do it, so the piston doesn't move too far or anything like that. All right, so let me get a little closer, and I'll show you what I do to air check the drum. I'll show you the clutches, and I'm going to show you the crack in the drum. All right, so just give me a few minutes. I will get set up for that. All right, first, here are the frictions. Now, with this transmission, this 4L65, this is the 6-liter. Normally, you would have 6 of these frictions in the, you know, for the input drum, for the 3/4 clutch. All right, but this is a 6-liter, so they're a little thinner, and I believe the steels may be a little thinner, and there are actually 7 of these instead of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so when you have the bigger engines, the 4L65s, you'll see 7 of these instead of 6. So if you ever have to order a banner kit and you have it all apart, you know you have 7, make sure you tell whoever you're ordering the parts from that there's 7 3/4 clutches so you get the right kit. Okay, so let's get this drum into view. Okay, so here, if you can see that, which I'm sure you can, here is the check ball that I blow the air in, that once you blow the air in, the ball comes back up in seats. Okay, so you blow the air in here. Trying to just get this thing up close so you guys can see. All right, so the apply hole for the 3/4 clutch is here at the bottom. All right, and the bleed hole that you also have to cover is, let's see, is right here. Right here. Okay, so what I do is I put one finger over the bleed hole, and let me turn it this way so I can show you, but you saw the bleed hole, and again, here is the apply hole. All right, so I put one finger over the bleed hole, one over the apply hole, and then I blow air into, let me just move it this way, into the check ball. Okay, and it should hold pressure until I release, and you see there is nothing there. Nothing there. And you know, I said, oh, maybe it's me, maybe it's me. I got another guy to put his finger over it, you know, one of the other guys, and it just didn't work. Okay, see, it's just totally not holding. The pressure is going away immediately. So when I saw that, and then also when it didn't work, I put some oil down in here, and there was no leak, you know, from where the shaft and the drum meet. So then I put some oil around here, and I thought maybe the check ball was leaking, but I actually want to show you where the leak is. There's a huge crack right here. All right, so let me see if I can get more close up, and you will see the leak. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my finger over the bleed hole, and I'm going to blow air into the apply hole, and you're going to watch here. Actually, let me move it that way so you guys can probably see. All right, and I'll put a little more oil here. I'm going to get the air hose, come around. Okay, you know what? Let me pass through the front here. Okay. All right, so you want to watch this area right here. All right, so I'm going to hold the bleed hole, and I'm going to blow air. And you can see the bubbles. That whole thing is cracked. I mean, that's a huge crack. Pretty much from here to here. All right, let's try it again. Let me get it in view. Okay, here we go. It's actually cracked all the way around here. I'll put a little more oil in it. And then we'll do the, I'll set up the new drum. I'll set up the new drum, and then we'll check the integrity of that drum, and you'll see that it holds the pressure. Okay. I want you guys to see this. You know, let me just reposition here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to hold the bleed hole here, And I'm gonna go into the apply hole and watch the oil on around the side. See it all bubbling up. Crack looks like it's from here all the way over. Okay, let's try it one more time. There we go. Yeah, there you go. There's a nice one. So, we got a cracked drum. And I realized that again, checking the integrity of the drum to make sure it can hold the pressure, because I wanted to know why those clutches burnt out. You know, again, sometimes it is a piston problem. The molded pistons go bad, it burns the clutch out. You know, there's a bunch of things that can, there's a few things that can cause it, but I want to make sure the drum didn't cause it, so that's why I check the integrity of the drum. All right, so at this point, I'm waiting for the new drum to come, and I'm going to catch up with you guys tomorrow. We'll take it apart, switch everything over, and air check that drum and make sure everything is all good. All right, so I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, and we will finish it up. All right, back with you this morning. Just got the drum delivered a few minutes ago, along with, I got another set of rings for the input shaft. So there's 4 of them. So I have new rings I'm going to be installing. And let's take a look at the drum. So here's the new drum that we're going to be using. So what we'll do now is we'll take the other one apart, load everything up into here, and we're going to do the same test to make sure that that clutch holds. All right, so let me just get set up for that. Give me 1 second. Okay. Get the snap ring out. This is a new snap ring. Okay, here's 3/4 sections. We got the load release springs. The rest of them. So again, in this pack there are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the steels are a little thinner than normal. When it would take 6 frictions, the steels are going to be thicker. Alright, snap ring to the forward. Okay, here's the input sprig. Top plate for the front clutch. Okay. Forward clutch. I'm going to get the bearing and the this is kind of like a plastic or rubber bushing that comes in the kit. Under drive clutches. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I got to go to the press and I got to get the snap ring out to get the molded pistons out, swap over the O-ring in there, and we'll put this drum back together. Alright, so let me go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, alright, so we got the snap ring, which I'm going to close up a little bit when we put this back together. Return springs, and then just see if we can get everything out one shot, like that. Okay. Here's everything for clutch piston, so the return springs, forward clutch piston, underdrive, overrun, and the apply for the forward piston. Okay, now inside here, we have the O-ring we have to get out. Okay, and that's really about it. Now I just have to get the washer is still on here. I'll have to get that out, but I'll use some air. I don't have the compressor on yet, so it doesn't run. But I'll just use some air to get that washer out there. Let me see if I can get more on top of the drum here. And we can load up the stuff and load the frictions back up and check it, make sure she's good. Okay, so let's get this O-ring back in place. Okay. Alright, so slippery. I gotta just use a rag to put this thing in place here. Okay. Alright. Now I like to use a little STP here. Just to make sure that the rest of these pistons slide in with no problem. Alright, so we have the apply plate and springs. Okay. Alright, next we're going to do the forward piston. Alright, so the way I do that is I take this out, lay it on its side, and then this has to go in, the forward piston has to go in actually a certain way. So the long lugs are going to go to the long openings here. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in place. All right, I got a feeler gauge here to go around for the lip seal. And I got it against the bench, so I just kind of push on it and it should go in. Okay, there we go. Okay. overrun piston. That should go in no problem. Okay. Springs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and install this snap ring back. And then we'll load up the clutches and air check the drum again. All right, so while I'm, I got to put my compressor on too. So, all right, so let me get the snap ring and I'll be right back. All right, so the snap ring is in, seated all the way around. Now, before I put the sprig in, I'm just going to load this up just to make sure, because it is another drum, that I have some decent clearance here on the clutch packs. And then we'll take it out and put the sprig in. Right, so here's a wave, and then regular steel, and friction. And alternate, steel and friction. I always check this also just to, you know, you got new clutches and stuff, sometimes, you know, maybe a little thicker. So I always like to check clearance before I put the sprig in. Just takes minimal amount of time and I'll know that it's okay. Alright, so what I want to do now, if I can back out anymore, I can't. Alright, let me back up here because I actually want to air check this clutch. Oh, you know what, I can't. I got to put my compressor on. Alright, give me 1 second, let me go turn that on and let it fill. Alright, so let's give this a quick air check. For the forward clutch. Okay. Okay, that looks good. Now clearance is good. The clutch is freely moving. Alright, so now we need a little bushing here. Alright, then we have a bearing. And we'll put our input sprig in. And then we can go ahead and load the forward clutch pack back in. Okay, looks good. Now we can go ahead and load in our 3/4 clutch pack. And we got also the load release springs. Okay, so the opening here would go in the wide opening because that's where the springs go. And these are choline steels, by the way. So they look a little, they're not burnt, that's just the color of the steel. Okay, so let's load in our springs. we got some good clearance there in that clutch pack. Okay, so what we'll do now, let me see if I can get a little close. Oops, sorry. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna load the rings on. Find my tool, my resizer that is. All right, let me locate that. Oh, I know where it is. Okay. All right, so here's the tool. Let me just turn this. That I use to install the rings. All right, this it'll work. It's kind of made, actually, the tool is made for the drums that have the shiny tip on it because it'll go all the way down to the bottom ring. This will go halfway down, but you can work the rings in and then put the resizer on it. So it works. Yeah, that's about as far as I can go down. Okay, the ring is on. Okay, the ring is in place here. Just gonna slide her down. Okay. And we'll just work it around to the bottom land. Then we put the resizer on. There we go. And the next one. Same thing. Resizer. Alright, now I got it right where the land is, so we'll be able to put this on, go right into the land. There we go. Okay, and last one. Okay, so we got our rings in place. I kind of just wanted to do that with you. Of course, I probably should have checked to make sure the drum wasn't leaking first, but that's okay. All right, so this should be okay. So the rings are all in place. All right, there's the apply hole, so let's just make sure we got something here. Okay. All right, let me focus more on that section of the drum. So you saw what I did before. All right, you know, let me actually move up a little bit. Let's see. A little further. Okay. Back it out a little bit. All right, so here's the check ball I'm going to blow into. And then we have the apply, and the bleed hole is here. Okay, so again, I'm going to block 2 holes. Let me just wait for that compressor to shut off. Just give me 1 second. Okay, this way you can hear when we air check the drum. All right, so I'm going to hold my finger over the bleed hole, over the apply hole, and I'm going to go into the check ball here. You know what? Let me do it again. I didn't have it covered good enough. I still don't have it covered good enough. Okay. Here we go. All right, that sounded good. Let's try it again. Okay, that looks good. So I'm gonna put this transmission back together in a little while. Got other things I gotta do now, but I wanted to get this thing just straightened out. All right, now we have our washer here. Bearing. And now what we're going to do is just fit the pump over, just to make sure that everything looks good. Yes. Okay. Okay, all right, so before we close it out, let's air check the drum also through the pump. Okay. Here's a 3/4 clutch. Okay. So that looks good. So I'm going to continue, put this trans back together, get it back in the car a little later on today. And again, we are dealing with 2004 Cadillac Escalade with a 6-liter 4L65 and with a complaint of no third gear, or, you know, real soft third when it was cold, and I guess it pretty much slipped. When it was hot, we found a crack in the input drum. And I found that by checking the integrity of the drum, which I do on every overhaul, especially when those 3/4 clutches are burnt out. And that is a common problem. You know, not too common for the drum to crack, but it's a common problem for that clutch to burn out, you know, due to maybe the piston or loss of pressure through the rings because of bad bushings. But anytime that comes through, the drum gets checked like that, and you know, as many as I've done, most of the time the drum was okay, and this one, you know, was cracked, and you know, when I had this thing apart, or before I took it apart, I meant to do that and I forgot because it's a little busy here. So I remember just as I was putting this back together. If I would have forgot, forget it. This thing, we would have delivered it on a Monday and got it back on a Tuesday. So, all right, so just, you know, make sure you check those drums if you're going to work on these things, especially if those clutches are burned out. And I guess that is about it. So I'm going to continue on this in a little while. Got a few other things to do first. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.